Yeah, I studied architecture, but I did not want to practice. I like more hands-on work. I like improvising while working on site. And I just kind of chanced upon the art scene about 10, 12 years back. What I've been trying to do working on large-scale projects actually is try to see if I can decentralize the creative process a little bit. I find that the creative industry is a bit too hierarchical. I want to improvise. I'm much happier when I'm surprised by what turns out at the end. I started working with bamboo while I was still an architecture student. When I did my first 2 or 3 art projects, that is the medium that I chose. Early on in my career, I felt I was getting typecast like a bamboo artist, and the other thing was kind of like a romantic traditionalist, trying to say that the old way is good and the new way is bad. Well, I was not really so interested in that. So for many years, I did not work with bamboo. And then in 2019, I got invited to do a pavilion in Calcutta. And that is for a religious festival called Durga Puja. And in that festival, actually, bamboo is used extensively for making things, making the pavilions itself. But more often than not, the bamboo is covered up and decorated, so you don't really see the structure so much. So for that project, I decided to come back to bamboo. And then now I fear I'm getting typecast again as a bamboo artist. But at this stage of my career, I'm willing to take that risk. There's a lot of nature-inspired architecture happening right now. But a lot of that is happening on 3D environments with CAD as a developing tool, algorithms as a way of developing the textures, and also 3D printers. I found that weaving and basket making have a lot of parallels. In my practice, I'm really keen to try and bring together things that are apparently very disparate or polarized. Most of the projects of this scale that I'm doing, they're not so pre-planned. The planning is more in terms of skill sets, resources, textures. The process of each project itself is a bit cumulative, that only when a certain thing is done can the next step be taken. There's a lot of improvisation that I like to do. That's also part of my practice. Getting so-called classical or traditional ideas back into the contemporary practice. You know, like if we talk about sustainability today, the discourse around sustainability is talking about ideas like closed loop systems or local renewable resources, a low energy footprint, as though they're new ideas. Most pre-industrial society had those ideas very kind of embedded in the way they were living and working. I find going to museums and exhibits really boring. There seems to be a kind of a barrier between the artwork and the viewer. I think feeling and other senses are a really important part of experiencing any artwork. I want to create mechanisms that encourage people to interact with the work in different ways. Venu is a classical term for bamboo, but it's also used it's used as a term for flute. I have some musical instruments, although they're not wind-driven, but I wanted to have that kind of a playful association that is there. Many of my projects are actually exist only for the duration of the exhibition. After that, I like to find some other use for the material.